Here we are at the end of, well, the tail end of 2024, and we got a new president coming into the White House and shit, and it's been a lot of social change, and some people, well, it's still divisive and shit. Okay, still divisive. Everybody's into this extremism and shit. It's either my way or the fucking highway. There's no middle. I find that ironic. I'm a middle child. I'm the complete Jan Brady of things. And, I gotta admit, everybody goes through that period where they were just going along to get along and shit. And I was no different and shit until, the outside world forced me to make a decision and shit. And I made that decision to go my own way, with things, listen to the voice in my head for once and shit. That voice I had been ignoring all my life and shit while I did my best to fit in. Okay. And what did that get me? All right. What did that get me? Well, here I am today talking to you guys and shit. Obviously, I fucked up. Okay. You don't have to fuck up though. Okay. That's why I want to, make these commentaries, man. I want you to have enough information to be able to make an informed decision. And it doesn't have to be based on anything that you hear me say or do, see me do. Okay, it doesn't have to be that way and shit. It's one of the reasons I use an avatar and I alter my voice and shit. I don't want to, I like to keep my identity secret at this point and shit. I really don't think it matters. I look like a lot of, you guys and shit. In my particular chronological age group, which is I'm a Generation Xer. Okay, for the longest time we were called, slackers. They had this movie called Reality Bites with Ben Stiller and Winona Ryder. And they said it was indicative of who we are. But fuck you, Hollywood. So, this is my end of the year video. I come to you. I don't know how you celebrate or how you self identify. Any of that bullshit, identity bullshit, extremism, right? Either way is no good. I prefer the middle. I've always been a centrist and whatnot, but I want to come and tell you guys happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, you worship, Some people still worship in Kwanzaa and shit. We did that shit in the house. We did some of every goddamn thing in our house. And she should see our Christmas tree. It looked like it was a fucking mess. Yeah, it was the world I lived in. I grew up in a bubble. I didn't know my Christmas tree looked like shit. I didn't know it was just weird to, you know, be a black middle, lower middle class family at that point. You know, have all this shit and have some goddamn Hanukkah lights in the window and shit. But then later on, they retroactively, the female lead of the home told us it was for Kwanzaa and shit. I'm like, hey, for the fucking Kwanzaa, you got that shit from Sears, get slapped. I'm gonna tell you, man, I want you guys to have a nice holiday. Okay, some of us can have a nice holiday. Some of us can be with what we thought were our family, right? Some of us didn't know that we were born with no family, with no ties, no blood. Blood was not thicker than water and shit. There's a lot of us out there with legion, and when you listen to my sound of my voice, maybe I sound apologetic. It's not so much, it's just it's such a bitter pill to swallow, you know. And we have a new year coming up and shit, and I want nothing but the best for you, all of you out there, my brothers, my kings, my fellow kings. All right, I feel like a king. All right, whether I have a throne to sit on or not, I am a king. All right, and I largely in part to the adversity I faced and the number of people that had to make backroom deals to what they thought was keep me in the dark and shit when they had never realized I was self-aware this entire time and shit. Growing up in my house was like growing up in jail. Okay, growing up in jail, I might as well have just been a number. Nobody even realized that I'd been self-aware this entire time. I feel like I was in a Tim Burton movie and shit. Okay, I feel like Natalie Portman and the fucking like Mars Attacks. She was like the president's daughter. She was like highly self-aware, just watching all this bullshit go down. It was absurd, and the only thing she could do was sit in the middle of the tornado and shit. And ironic because, I had to use the actor Natalie Portman for this analogy. And, currently and shit, recently and within the last 5 years, it used that same analogy except for that movie, V for Vendetta. Okay. Sometimes when I say that in, my videos or commentary, people don't react to that bullshit. Okay. These days, I feel like Natalie Portman in V for Vendetta. I'm sorry about the disjointed commentary. I had to pause it for reasons. Yeah, yeah. These days, currently, well, in the last couple of years, definitely feel like Natalie Portman in V for Vendetta and shit. Okay, when after she had her head shaved and went through so much hell and discovered it was the guy that had, turned her life upside down, that he was doing it to toughen her up and shit. I feel like, unequivocally, my life experience and my family, genetic relatives and, people associated, they put me through that. They put me through that, man, And here I am today, making commentary and shit, doing what I do, right? And I really do want you to have a happy holiday and shit. For me, like Christmas, these days is just for, children, okay? I used to love Christmas. I used to love the period between, Thanksgiving and New Year's Eve, right? I really used to love that, right? And I think I started hating Christmas in around 1988. Yeah, it was. I think it was 1988. It had to be. My girlfriend ran away from home. She didn't really run away from home. She went out with me and came back, and she couldn't get in her house, and she ended up staying catting out with me for like damn near 6 weeks. It was 6 weeks of hell. When I then, I don't know, maybe that same year, the following year, I had to, I had to be at a relative's house, and my older sibling was uh, highly intoxicated, along with several other people, and I watched her regurgitate all over her eldest daughter while the child was talking to her, asking her if she was okay, with covered in regurgitation, and then she proceeded to go home and get in the bathtub fully clothed and shit. And I just didn't know what to do with my the the parent that's in charge of the house was uh, nowhere to be found. I'll put it that way. I started hating Christmas, man. Right? I really hated Christmas and shit. And what gives me joy during the Christmas season was, just giving things to, doing things for Christmas, or being a service. Let's put it that way. And I don't feel that way today. I'm trying. I would like to love Christmas before I die. You know, I would like to love it again. But I've had some insane Christmases. By myself. And I have a gigantic family, a gigantic, and what a lot of you would perceive as a prestigious family. You know, and it's that time of year. You know, and I don't feel a certain way. I know it may sound that way and shit, but like you know, all kinfolk and skinfolk. Blood isn't thick enough water. It's not even thicker than tea. And I'm like, use analogy. I'm Captain America up in this bitch. And I feel like these motherfuckers keep stealing on me and shit in the alley. They got me cornered in the alley like however many is a whole group of motherfuckers beating my ass, and I keep getting up saying I can do this shit all day, and I will do it until I'm in the ground. And it won't change nothing. Okay. At the end of the day, regardless how any motherfuckers felt, uh, they will have to live with the fact that they can't overcome me and shit unless they group up like fucking Voltron and shit. And here I am. Christmas Eve at the time of this recording. Uh, I have a child that I have a younger son that I'm taking care of and shit. Okay, you give two shits about his older brother and shit for reasons, and I thought that I would come and make his this video. or his commentary. I wanted to tell you, some of you, Merry Christmas, I guess, or Happy Hanukkah, whatever the fuck you want to call it and shit. Make up your own goddamn holiday. All right, I want you guys to go into the new year self-aware, maybe even more self-aware than I've always been. You know, and you do what's best for you. You live your best life. You save yourself, black man. Okay, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I don't need to see any of you or talk to you and shit. I just want you to know that someone out there gives a shit. Right, that we have to take care of ourselves. We have to do better. It's the only way that we can write the apple cart. Okay, the only way things can get to some semblance. I can't say a semblance of normalcy and shit. But the community has not been normal for quite some time and shit. It's one of the reasons that it was prodded to make these videos. I could have made videos about any goddamn thing. Like Jen ended up talking about this, the dynamic within our supposed ethnic community and how flawed it was. I felt bad that, you know, how things turned out. Yeah, I take responsibility for some decisions I made and shit, but there was a lot of outside forces there, and I was socially engineered to, like my peers were. We were socially engineered to be a white knight and to be a, punching bag, emotionally, spiritually, and physically for some people sometimes, and just taking on the shit and try to, every time you accomplish something, whether you realized it or not, it was a great accomplishment because you accomplished that in spite of somebody, not because of them, and they didn't fucking help you. They were busy propping up, that byline about how we're the boogeymen of the world, we're dum dums, and we're knuckle draggers and shit, and absentee fathers, all that bullshit. And you had to do it yourself. You just didn't have a acronym for it. Now you do. It's the SYSBM and shit. It means save yourself, black man. It does. And it's your best bet this coming future. Shit, no matter how bleak whatever happens in the world and shit, and you stay true to yourself and nothing else and shit, because you only got one life to live, and you're living that life for yourself. And that's the whole point of this and shit. Alright? That's the whole point of this. Why I made the fucking, 1,000-something videos in the first place. Alright? I don't want to sully this by asking for you to hit the like button or, subscribe or anything, It's okay. Do what you want to do, okay? Learn that shit. Make it a second nature. We have to break the chain. Okay? I break my fucking chains. You can break your fucking chains. And don't be like me. Don't be, elder statesman as a community chronologically and, come into your own and shit after your prime and shit. Okay? I want you to do it while you're in it or at the cusp of it. You can live your best life and shit. You find out who you are. You make yourself happy and shit. Everything else follows, You live your best, brightest future and shit. I would like to wish you a happy new year if I don't come back to make a secondary video to this one and shit. But, we'll resume our regularly scheduled programming. All right? You guys take care. Merry Christmas.